Welcome to step 1, where I'm going to show you all the individual components that's going to make up your drone. For the quad frame, we're using the TBS Source 1, which is a great beginner quad, and its design is almost legendary in FPV. Couldn't really be simpler. 3 plates, bottom plate, second bottom plate, top plate, 4 arms, and you actually get 4 spare arms as well, which is really nice. Now, this is extremely robust with nice thick 4mm plates and arms, and is very difficult to break. It can be used for racing, can be used for freestyle flying. It's very adaptable, and it's also really easy to build, as it has heaps of space for the electronic components, as you'll see later when you actually see the quad. Now, you'll appreciate this later on if you're trying to figure out where things are going to go on a quad with very little space, as some do. But this frame is perfect for what you need now. For the electronics, first we have here what we call the flight stack, which has 2 of the most important components of any quadcopter. Firstly, the flight controller, and this is what controls the movement of the drone. The flight controller is also great for beginners, as it makes soldering really easy with these little solder pads. All we need to do really is just prepare the wires from our other components like our receiver and our VTX. Just poke the wires through these little holes and solder them in place. Easy peasy. Another part of the stack is the 4-in-1 electronic speed controller, which we have here, and this controls the speed of the 4 motors to make the drone move. It also contains the PDB or power distribution board that controls the power that the setup uses. This can take an average current draw of about 50 amps, which is more than ample for our needs. And if you look at the solder pads here, you can see that they're really nice and thick, and that makes soldering really safe and easy for a beginner, as you're not going to lift off one of these pads with too much heat from our soldering iron, something you'll learn later on. Now, we also need to send commands from the sticks and switches on our radio transmitter here to the flight controller, and for this we need a radio receiver. Now, we need this signal to be really nice and strong so that we don't find ourselves some distance away with our sticks not responding, which would usually result in a forced fail-safe landing and you having to go find your drone, which you don't want. So the one we're using here is a long-range receiver called TBS Crossfire, and has long been regarded as one of the best on the market. And this has awesome range and a really good reliable link, which is capable of receiving the signal through obstacles like trees or buildings. It's also super lightweight and small. For the 4 motors, we're using Emax Eco 2 motors, which are beautifully engineered, and we have the smoothness for freestyle or recording video. Also has heaps of power for racing. Depends on what you want to do, but it's a good across the board and very well priced motor. They're very popular on the market right now. As I say, they have awesome performance and durability, and are comparable to motors twice their price actually. On these motors we're going to pop some nice 5-inch propellers, which have a medium pitch or angle on the blades, which will go with the Emax motors nicely and give us some nice smooth flying, and they're not too aggressive to begin with. As for the FPV components, we have our video transmitter or VTX, which sends the signal from the camera to the video receiver on our goggles so that we can see where we're flying in real time. And connected to this is the VTX antenna, which transmits the video signal. Now, it's important to note that different video transmitters have different power output levels, and some only allow for shorter distances, like racing VTXs. Now this VTX or video transmitter has loads of power to allow for longer range video signal, which will mean that you can fly further without worrying about losing video. And lastly, of course, we need an FPV camera, and for this we're using the RunCam Phoenix 2, which is very popular as it has a very nice clear image that's easy to see. Now, there's no need to write down these parts frantically. You know, what were all those parts that John mentioned? Don't worry about that now, because we're going to sort all that out. Just stay to the end of the webinar and I'll let you know all these parts later that you'll need. So sit back and watch the rest of the steps.